birds feed themselves. When is it going to get warmer in my bones? When is it gonna get warmer in our homes? When is the sun going to come? The sun, the sun, the sun, the hair of the sun. You like the senses of your blood and the sun to mingle in the earth and air and everything fair. And who we want to have the sun come out today. It is so good. La da da dee 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 dee. La da da. Gotta bring the sun out today, people. Got the biggest challenge ever. We're going against the evil of the world, the most chemtrailed place on the earth, and one of the most evil places on the earth. Right here, Parksville. Oh yeah. This way I imagine myself to play a kind of cosmic role. My alter ego is a completely demented, virgin, middle-aged white male who lives with his mother. It's the perfect cover. No, I'm not completely serious, but it is also true. Try to figure that out, and you'll be a smarter man than I. We're using the 4 major parsecs of your brain, and the 4 rivers of paradise will begin to flow, and we will resonate, our intelligence moving in and out like the various breathing apparatus of the gossamers of star and tide and loam, and we shall grow old, warming our hearts with such perambulations that should never fail to make our safety as sound as that of the greatest child had ever needed to be. Hail ho, praise Satan, Mother Earth, and everything good that crawls inside God's ass and kills him. Yay! I see the sign of women, a whole panel of women walking by me. A Mississippi, e portare glasses, which I think means a glass of port, but it's a port where a man with a glass eye comes and asks all the single mothers to come and satisfy him. A portare glasses, a Mississippi, he's always there. Oh, Lord Almighty. Yeah, I gotta tuck those in. That's how cold it is. I was just thinking of the aesthetic appeal of tucking your pants so they don't get dirty. It actually keeps you warmer. I never thought about measuring the tucking in against the getting your pants dirty. It's like she's missed the entire practical effect of tucking your pants in. It's just to stay warmer. They're wearing these thin, like little polyester cotton form-fitting pants in like the bitterest cold I've seen in a long time. The most bitter cold. My zingots and my ingots and my trilobites. The glories unto me, but I terrific suffering I can never for up to the Lord. It tenderizes my niblets to think of the tributes I could pay if I can convert more of my natural tongue and flesh and blood into something more worthy of the economic paroxysms of the world. Take my flesh, my lord, but before I die, allow me to work some tiny little shitty bit of thy mandibles, that thy insatiable hunger for our people should forever be delighted, and not, as we move about the great concourse of the sun's conviction, a murderer in the future, pre-crimed for his red giant state of planetary absorption and nothing but our death after billions of years of our life. It all makes sense, my lord. I'm ready to be promoted to anusol washer. Niblet, dick-eating, cum-sucking, cunt weasel. Joseph is my lord. Parasite for the high school system, not Joseph's. Should we will unite? It's never too long for a blight. Do, 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 do. Oh, Lord, I get far away from the women, so don't see me pee. It wants to come so much. It needs to be done. Dee 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 dee. Pee pee pee. Gotta keep moving a little bit. So your brain has intestines. Some of them wanna use you. Some of them wanna get used by you. Some of them wanna abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. Hey, oh hey, I can still make this 1980 song move you. Do, do, oh, like a virgin. Farting for the very first. I can't remember my first fart. How sad. My brother used to fart in my face sometimes. I can still feel his warm, hairy mullet upon my nostrum. Inhaling the gaseous exhaust of so many poorly made sandwiches on white bread, and the unwanted amount of childhood paralysis. You ever found a place in life where you can't imagine childhood being anywhere near respected as it should be? When you see people around you and how we all just kind of grow up like these beautiful human animals who become kind of disfigured, whether you look pretty or not, whether much you weigh, just kind of disfigured pantomime of what you used to be, yet so much more important to the people who need you to be that way. And then they don't even like, what you've done. Every ugly person, every violent person has become that way to appease some other ugliness that made its way into telling them how to be at the expense of their own beauty as a child. And you can try to help people with all kinds of problems, but you also have to give people a voice. You have to flesh out your knowledge, flesh out your medicine, flesh out what you think is science, but flesh out something that allows me and everyone else to have a voice. Your government's not going to do that for you. Do your religions give everyone a voice? What would a religion like that was made of the human voice, made flesh? You could see a movie that would be created from some kind of premateria and would take form and give you messages based on the voices of everyone suffering in the world. That if they could reach 1 billion people through every natural signature that part of our religious life would be to listen to that beautiful, if difficult and terrifying knowledge. Because everyone who lent a little bit of their time to listen to it and to imagine its existence enough to listen to it, or to think that you can, because you can imagine all kinds of other strange things about the universe and the moon landing, and all kinds of other ideas and histories and strange and perverted knowledge. You know, in the average 15 minutes of television, you could imagine this. And everyone that did that would be doing all they needed to do to make the world a better place. And you could give up every other kind of philanthropy, every other donation, everything else that you do, and you did only that. That would be enough. That would be enough for me. I don't ask anything else. My mom is so intelligent, but she reads books that don't tell her about the voices of real people. She reads trashy novels. Not because they're badly written or they're not talented writers and they're not thrilling plots with lots of difficult things to emulate if you wanted to write the same kind of book. But sophisticated as it is quite insubstantial, and it's meant to just give an endless thrill from one line to the next. And excitement isn't the same as a useful exchange that bears forth some greater understanding about what humans feel and think in the world. When you're afforded, say, the pleasure of just reading a book about it and not having to be beaten or raped or starved, or to watch your mother or father or children be tortured or raped or starved, knowing that the governments and institutions of the world will just call it death by tuberculosis. Because you knew in your dying moments that the people who control the world didn't give a fuck about you, and B, they didn't have to. And like a lot of average sociopaths, they could attack you in public through one costume or another, through one pretext, around a million witnesses, and nothing would happen. But if you raised your voice for a second, you'd be put in irons within minutes. That's what they can do. That's how the parasitical nature can reach out and touch someone. Right? Never a cruel word, never a violence, never a slander, never a public or humiliating rebuke that doesn't seem to travel through every orifice, vacuole, and superhighway of world civilization. And it strikes you like a perverse lightning. And it's meant to scare people, but they're not meant to sustain a fidelity of connection between the subconscious and conscious mind to allow them to continue to sort of dwell on it. It's just like a movie explosion, it just goes away. Boom, boom. You ever tried reading a book, say, find a book on alcoholism where they do case studies of children who grow up in homes, right? And just see, it's made palatable for you to read it. These clinical descriptions, written by people, by the way, who probably never went through this, but still, case studies. Read case studies in The Primal Scream, Why People Get Sick and How They Get Better, 2 different books by Dr. Arthur Jenow. Read the case studies about how people are their entire lives because of how they were when they were born, and that he could say that people are dying, or they die from compulsions, really, from overeating to overworking to hypertension and everything else, based on the way they were when they came out of their mother's womb. You're dying from your birth. That it's impossible to think of health and balance without going back to your birth. But it's interesting to me, this culture that on people's birthdays, on their birthdays, is a time when people choose to be the cruelest to people they care about, and to do pranks on them, and to get them really drunk. Or when they get married, you got movies about exposing people to near death in order to celebrate the fact that they're going to be married to the person they love. Isn't that disgusting? These are backwards, dark ceremonies.